Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Okay, so just like I was saying a couple weeks ago when Joe Walsh made that ridiculous comment on that CNN panel,
the American president right now could be a plant, could be a Russian asset. And if the American people don't care about that Putin might have something on Trump, that he's an asset, that he's a plant, that he's doing the bidding of Vladimir Putin.
Donald Trump is a Russian. The Russians have something on him. He's pushing Vladimir Putin's agenda and propaganda, right? Remember in that video when I said, yeah, these Democrats have absolutely freaking nothing, and of course by extension the Democratic media has nothing, so they're going right back to the same default? Well, it's obvious they're not exactly the greatest innovators as they continue to beat this dead horse. They're viewing this Zelensky thing, I guess, as the perfect catalyst for them to revive this totally dead horse. It's a full-on narrative resurrection, but honestly, in the end, I don't think it's a resurrection miracle. No, I'd say quite to the contrary. It feels like they're summoning an undead skeletal abomination. That's what this narrative is. They're trying to bring it back from the dead, hoping it's going to be something good, but they just look horrible. And so here we go again. I guess we're teleporting back in time to 2017. It's Russia, Russia, Russia. Once again, Donald Trump is working for the Russians. Let me show you guys this Trump derangement syndrome nonsense that's currently being pushed on the mainstream networks. Although, of course, to fewer and fewer people these days, as their audience continues to dwindle.
Some people may wonder why.
They ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions. Focus on surviving, because CNN's got such low ratings, I don't think they're going to survive.
Yeah, well, I guess CNN's trying to bring back the Russia narrative to revive their pathetic little network. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so let's first start off with this little clip right over here. Just take a look.
Just moments ago, President Trump previewed his speech before Congress tomorrow night. He says, quote, "Tomorrow night will be big. I will tell it like it is." The last few days, that has meant telling it as Russia likes it.
So Donald Trump makes an announcement that he's going to deliver something big at his next speech, and he said he wasn't going to be holding back. It's going to be big, and I'll tell it like it is. And CNN's neutral presentation is basically to declare him a Russian puppet. You can't make this stuff up. The last few days, that has meant telling it as the Russians like it. The contempt that you feel for the mainstream media, honestly, is not nearly enough. You don't hate the left-wing mainstream corporate press and media enough, I'm telling you. And every time you think things are getting slightly better, MSNBC's firing their hosts, CNN already did the same thing, new ownership, a separation of networks. You know, there's this idea out there that these publications and these networks are going to start moving towards actually doing journalism. Every time you want to give them even the slightest benefit of the doubt, what do? They spit in your freaking face. Donald Trump's telling it like the Russians want him. No, not at all, actually. And funnily enough, according to polling data that even CNN presented.
So the poll question essentially is, do you support a Russia-Ukraine negotiated peace deal? The vast majority of Americans, this is what they want. 78% say that they support this idea versus just 16% oppose.
I mean, you basically admitted it. Donald Trump is not saying it how the Russians want it. He's saying it how the American people want it. That's how he's telling it. But according to this hack at CNN, he's just a Putin puppet pushing Kremlin propaganda. It's unfrickin' believable. And it's sad that people fall for this stuff, and a lot of people do, because most people are only watching the very condensed version, the clipped up version that leftists are putting out there, just showing Donald Trump and JD Vance really going after Zelensky and then trying to spin this narrative. But if you watch the entire meeting from start to finish, there's no way you come to the conclusion that Donald Trump is acting on behalf of the Russians.
I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved. And it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" It doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world.
Again, this idea that Donald Trump's supposed to take a stance here, a hardline stance, and issue absolute demands, otherwise it's all-out war, it's just ridiculous. And it really doesn't serve the interest of the American people. And I'd argue it doesn't serve the interest of the Ukrainian or Russian people. And I'm not talking about the Russian government or Ukrainian government when I say that. No, I'm talking about the people. Donald Trump's stance here is very clear. And while that seemed so offensive to so many people that he wouldn't swear absolute allegiance to the Ukrainian side when asked what side of the war you're on, his response, well, it actually makes sense. America is its own individual nation. It is not Ukraine. And the stance that Donald Trump is taking is in fact a neutral, peace broker position. He wants to be in the middle of the conflict, an arbiter of sorts, getting both sides to the table, hopefully both openly willing in good faith to negotiate, and finally finding an end to this damn thing. So again, Donald Trump's not on the Russian side. He's not on the Ukrainian side. He's on the American side. He's on the let's end these endless war side. And of course, he's on the side of the American people. But according to CNN, instead of just presenting you with all of the facts and all of the details from an absolutely neutral perspective, no, they try to make your mind up for you and they just tell you the president is a Russian. It's absolutely disgusting, honestly. That's what it is. And coming from the group of people that are always going on and on about mis and disinformation and Russian propaganda, they sure do spread a whole lot of propaganda. And that's again what they're doing by platforming people like Alexander Vindman, providing this absolutely brain-dead take on Abby Phillips' show.
I want to know why our ally is allowed to disrespect the United States of America, the leader, the current leader of this free world.
JD Vance owes Zelensky
finish.
an apology. President Trump owes Zelensky an apology for the way he was treated.
For what?
I demand it.
What?
I demand that they give.
You demand. Okay, so UN resolution number 2.
If you're going to go ahead and say preposterous things like Zelensky owes an apology for being attacked, I'm going to go ahead and say something outrageous. Actually, I'm going to go ahead.
Price of you say that Ukraine wants peace.
I think JD Vance should resign. How about that? We're just going to go through crazy stuff into the air.
You say Ukraine wants peace.
Yeah.
If Zelensky wanted peace, then he would have kept his mouth shut.
What? He did until there were lies. What?
What was the lie?
Vance didn't lie about anything. They were talking about
not a dictator.
That wasn't.
That's not what he was
said that today.
That's not what he was responding to.
No one said that.
Actually, it's JD Vance and Donald Trump who owe an apology because they lied. Yeah, what exactly did JD Vance lie about? Because I keep hearing this, right? And really, from what I understand, that's what set Volodymyr Zelensky off. The whole statement around forced conscriptions and how the Ukrainian forces are dwindling and they're struggling in their recruiting efforts. Is that the lie that Mr. Vindman is referring to? Is that the misinformation that the Trump White House now has to apologize because they were promoting Russian disinformation? Give me a break. We all have eyeballs. We're all paying attention online and we're seeing exactly what JD Vance was talking about all over the internet. Yeah, it turns out that's exactly what's happening, and JD Vance was correct. But it triggered Volodymyr Zelensky, I guess, because it wasn't exactly a convenient truth. It wasn't helpful for his demands for more untold billions of dollars. And so I guess JD Vance now has to apologize. I mean, give me a break. Which is the side spewing wartime propaganda, and which is the side that's actually telling the truth and interested in creating long-lasting peace here? Trump is simply a deal maker. He's not a Russian agent. He's a great American patriot. Everybody knows this. It's so obvious. He just knows that if he follows the warmongering establishment path of constantly attacking Putin and attempting to make him public enemy number one, building on anti-Russian statement from the Cold War, he knows that if he continues down that path, it's not going to lead to anything good. And so instead, he's applying a different strategy, being more neutral and trying to be the one in the middle who's going to negotiate peace. But apparently that nowadays just makes you a Russian agent, right? Donald Trump's a Manchurian candidate. Here we freaking go again. What a ridiculous notion. And I know the left is all giddy now, thinking they've got their Trump card, but I'm not sure that's the case. I'm not sure people are perceiving it as such. And honestly, it's kind of sad just thinking about it, how Democrats would rather enable and perpetuate war because it gives them a talking point against the president instead of advocating for long-lasting peace and diplomatic negotiations. It's got me thinking of where are we going from here? Is Zelensky in the pocket of the DNC? And they're now going to be conspiring together to continue this chaos all the way to the midterm so they could have this talking point that Donald Trump is a Russian agent in an effort to gain the House majority back? It's just giving me 2018 vibes once again. And I guess just to finish off, if that's the case, if that's the strategy here, Lord, I hope they fail. But anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.